Okay, great. This is Richard Hay. Howdy, howdy. I'm here with Glen Porter, who is an individual who used to work at EDS, and he's would you call yourself a statistician or?
Mathematician, but my degree was in mathematical sciences, which was heavy in both computer science and statistics. So from Baylor University, so Sick and Bears. I know you're an Aggie, but
All right. Oh, well, we're gonna have to go. You know what? I got to tell you, maybe you can help me out because I only know the Aggie version of that good old Baylor line,
oh,
which
okay,
has got to be, which is,
yeah,
I know there's another version, the good
yeah,
version, that I don't know
right.
what it is. Maybe you can tell me the
We'll,
good version because I only know
we'll
the bad one.
we'll take that offline because I'd like to hear the bad one too.
Okay, I got you. We won't put that. Yeah, this is a 42 video.
Yeah.
Right, right. So, yes, exactly. So, um, yeah. So, tell me a little bit. Like, how did you come to learn the game?
Well, growing up, my grandparents in particular, and my mother's parents, and my grandmother's two brothers were really into it. I'm from Oklahoma originally. They had ties to New Mexico and to Texas. So, but the grandkids, we learned to play 42. As soon as we could sit in a chair and figure out stuff. So, but it was kitchen 42. There was not a lot of you know, nobody, we didn't know about tournaments. There were no tournaments, whatever. Just we'd get together and during holidays or anytime we were over there and get it, throw a table up and start playing 42.
Sure,
So,
just a table game like Monopoly
yep,
or
yep,
or poker, or just
exactly.
and playing Go Fish or whatever. I mean,
Right.
canasta.
Yep. And like I said, my grandmother and her two older brothers, I went on a trip with them, well, with one of the brothers up to see the other brother in Alaska one summer when I was in college. And we played during that week, we played 153 games of 42.
In
So,
Alaska.
yeah, in Alaska.
Right. No,
So,
that's good stuff. I mean, I admit I don't, I try to think, but I mean, I lived in Germany for 6 years
okay.
as a kid, but that was before I was introduced to the game. So I didn't, it was just a kid. I didn't
Right.
learn about it until I went to A&M. My mother's from Chile. My dad's from Michigan. I mean,
Yep.
I didn't have any of the grandfather, family playing at Thanksgiving. None of that stuff. It was just I got to A&M and they were like, who wants to pay $20 for Aggie Band dominoes, which is real money in 1989.
Right.
And I said, well, what for, sir? He said, to play 42. I said, well, what's that? And so here we are. But that was kind of how I was introduced to the game. Was just
Right.
it was table stakes. If you were going to Texas A&M,
Yep.
you learned how to play this game. But yeah, that was me. But so you had actually family history and
Yes.
family
And,
members that played, and
and
but it
then,
was like you said, kitchen table type.
yep.
Don't bet over 31. Always have your
Exactly.
trumps solid and this
Right.
kind of thing.
And even when we moved to Texas, friends of ours, we would get together with them before we had kids and play board games. And they both played 42. My wife played 42, so we do it. But again, same, And I really didn't start getting into it more until my son was older, and I taught him. And he's very mathematical minded too. He's an accountant, so he loved the game, and so we would find time to play. And we played in one or two tournaments way back when there were very few tournaments, and we did pretty good. But that was the extent of it. And then I, when I joined the 42 strategy page 3 4 years ago, is when I really started, doing more with the statistics. I already had a basic spreadsheet that I had for many years, and kind of went from there. But it's just an interesting thing too. My son, he has his oldest daughter. My oldest granddaughter is 9, will be 10 soon, but she is playing now, and she actually partnered with him in a tournament over in Fort Worth last summer. So, and I was partnered with somebody else, so we had three generations playing in the tournament, which was really cool.
Yeah, that is. I tell you, I'm never gonna have that because my attempts to get my children to learn how to play have been
Really?
mostly failures.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, my daughter, she just, what? Tell me what domino to play, Dad.
Right.
Oh, wait, math. oh, whoa, out. Um, and I've told this story before, but there was one tournament I was at in Manor, and there was a guy there with his son, and you could tell that the kid wanted to be anywhere else on Earth,
Yep.
but playing in that tournament with his dad.
Was he a teenager?
I think he was like an 18 or 19, like an older
Okay.
teenager
Yeah.
type of thing. But and the kid would misplay, maybe on purpose. I mean, so and every time I would call him on the misplays, the dad would be like, okay, professional. Like he would get all mad that I was calling his son on these misplays when you couldn't really repair the hand because he misplayed like 2 or 3 tricks ago.
Right.
And I'm like, are you not reading can you not, he's miserable. Are you not? I mean, come on. I mean, so mainly I don't try to force my daughters because I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it. Now, my other daughter, I have 2 of them, but the other daughter, she's like, she doesn't hate it. She's gone out with me to the Texas White House out, the LBJ ranch, and
Right.
we've done some of the clinics, and she's played a little bit, and so she's not as anti the game
Right.
as like, say, for example, uh my other daughter is. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Texas42.org
Okay.
website, which is one that I run. Let's see here. And we'll just put it on the screen here. And then essentially there are, let's see, hold on. Let me know if you can see it.
Not yet. There it is. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
So, and I have some additional things I'm probably going to put in here, like Daryl has this non-random random sheet of like how you pair up teams, or if you're playing random tournaments, then if you just seed everyone, like who plays who each round, so that you don't end up playing with the same person or against the same people.
Right.
Because if you draw cards, there's frequently the random drawing makes it to where you partner with the same person twice or 3 times in a row, or you play
Yep.
the same people twice, or so it seems like it's not as random as the more deterministic way to do it, where it just makes it to where you don't do that.
Right.
So anyway, so I put this little image here just to kind of say, hey, I have one, the example was I have 1 6, 1 5, 1 3, 1 0. What are the chances that my partner has the double ace?
That's one that obviously everybody knows.
Right. It's a 1 in 3 chance. Right.
Right.
Right. That's an example. So let's just start with the starting. Now, how did you come up with this 1.184 million possible hands?
Okay. Well, and that's how we get to the method that you figure out probabilities. Everybody knows the 1/3 if you're looking for one domino. Well, that can also be done with combinatorics. You can come up with the same thing. And combinatorics is just a way of counting. Okay. It's a
Okay.
fancy way of counting when you have large sets like this. So 1,184,040 is kind of the magic number. That's the total number of unique hands in 42, and it's calculated by the combination of 28 choose 7, because obviously you have 28 dominoes to start with, and you choose 7 of them. Combinations are where order does not matter. Permutation would be order does matter. There would be a lot more permutations, but of course, you can rearrange your dominoes. It's still the same hand. So
Sure, of course. Yes, correct. So right. So in other words, if order doesn't matter, it's only 1.18440.
yes,
That's the
yes,
lower number.
yes,
Like essentially, if like, well, what are the probabilities that I would draw these 7 dominoes in this order?
right.
Would
And then
be
it's
a much larger
yes, much
number.
larger. Yes.
Right. I gotcha. Okay. So right, I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So and how do you, like, this combinatorics? How do you write that in Excel as a formula?
It's combin, COMBIN, open parentheses, N comma R for number of things and how many you're going to choose. So
Okay, so in this case, it would be combin parentheses like
28
27.
comma 7 close parentheses. Yep, that'll give you 1,184,040.
Right. Okay, I got you. So that's how you'd write it in Excel.
Yes.
Is just using this combinatorial counting system to
Yes.
calculate the probability or the number of possibilities.
Yes. And so as in all probabilities, it's something like that. You look at the total number, and then you look at whatever you're looking for, and then you can divide by that total number to get the probability. So, for instance, how many? And these very easy one. How many hands, or what's the probability that you get a hand with all 7 doubles? Well, there's only one hand that will do that. You can count that one manually. You could do it with combinatorics also, but you count that manually, and it's 1 over 1,184,040 that you would get all 7 doubles. So
interesting. Well, but it says here the probability is 0.42. Is that 0.2%?
that's 7 suits. That's not doubles.
Oh, that's 7 suits. Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Got it. That was like
Yeah.
that's the first line. I got you. The 7.
Yeah, look down below the doubles. The doubles you start with. There's a table down there, about the third table down. That's what I'm talking about there.
I see. Got it. Right.
Starting with 7 doubles.
So that's like the 0.00001%.
Right, and over there the notes 1 in 1.184 million.
Right. You're right. There's only one of the 1.84 million
Yes.
possibilities that is the 7 doubles 1.
Exactly.
I got you. Wow, that's pretty wild. I don't know that I've ever drawn that.
No.
I mean, playing, 42 for years. I mean, I think I have had a couple of instances where I drew all 7 of the same suit.
Right.
The other fun one was, and I saw it. I've Jody tells this story about the time that he drew 6 2s, but
right.
not the blank 2.
Okay.
That's the only 2 he didn't have.
Right.
And then he had a double. And so he goes 84 and he leads the ace deuce, the small one,
right.
which is the high deuce.
To freak everybody out.
To freak his partner out.
Okay.
To make his partner go, I don't got it. No. I mean, them to kind of wig out and just, go.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, at Kalachi Fest this year, I was playing with Jody. We were playing against Alan and Kenneth from Abilene. Alan,
Alan
Clute and Kenneth Ware. And Alan drew that same hand. He drew and it was 2s.
Yeah.
He drew 6 2s he did exactly the same thing. He led the ace deuce, called deuces, 84. And now Kenneth was a little more like Kenneth didn't go, I mean, he didn't wig out like, but he did the same thing. I'm like, I guess that's what you do when you draw that hand is you try to mess with your partner.
Right.
But yeah, but again, and let's see here. So this is all about doubles here.
Yeah, there's doubles count. I think if you scroll up a little bit, maybe we passed one with just trumps, or it might have been. I have it on one spreadsheet, but
yeah, no, I think there's another.
There it is, right there. Trumps. Trumps you will start with right there. Probably starting with 7 trumps is 7. It's 7 trumps is 1 in 148,005 on the table that you're right there at the top.
Yeah, I see the number of trumps you'd start with.
Because how many trumps can you have? 8.
There's 7 of them, right? So you divide 8. Or 8, 8, right, with doubles, right? So you divide the 1.1. You divide the 1.184 million by 8.
Yes, and that comes out to 148,005. Yep.
Right, because there's actually 8 hands where you'd have 7 trumps.
Correct.
I gotcha. Okay.
So these are all, well, it's interesting. Some things you can do with combinatorics, some things you cannot, because gets very, very complicated. But with only 1.184 million, I say only, it's easy to write a program that spins through all the combinations and you can look for certain things. And that's what I had to do to get the 4 trumps and 3 trumps. So, but it's interesting. The 6 trumps, like you talked about before, was one in 1,000. You'll get six trumps.
Sure.
So
Right. So, and I mean, and obviously some of these, the things about, this table I looked at was, what is the probability that if I have 4 trumps, what's the probability that I'm going to be 3 trump by an opponent?
correct.
Or, or sometimes my partner, which is a much better result.
Right. And
For
this table, I did this originally as your partner, but you can use the table to see, if an opponent has that. So
right,
in
in
other
terms of
words,
right.
you can't always just multiply by 2. You can if there are no overlaps. And what I mean by that is, like, look at the uh which one? Let's see. If you start with 3 trumps, or
Yeah.
start with 3 trumps, then the probability that your partner has 3 is 8%. That
Sure.
one, since if you want to look at that, or any specific opponent, would also be 8%. So you have
Right.
2 opponents, so it's 16%.
I see. Got it.
But if you look at starting with 3, and the probability that your partner has 2 is 32%, you can't simply multiply that one by 2, because they could each for opponents because they could each have 2. So you have
Correct.
to do that with a little bit different calculation. But this table is valuable for also for opponents, especially for, like I said, if you want to see if you're 3 trumped. Well, if you've got 4, you look on that column there, trumps to start with 4. Probability that my partner has 3 is 2.6%. There's 2 opponents, it's 5.2%.
Yeah,
So
no, I usually refer to these tables and these probabilities only when I'm really annoyed that my
right,
opponent has set me in a
yeah,
particularly like unlikely way.
right,
Like, you know what? There's like there's got to be like a 95% chance that would have worked and that I got the 5% cheese
yep,
factor, which, just feels like God doesn't love you.
right,
For whatever reason, or that, but then whenever it works, you're like, well, clean living.
right,
Right. So,
yeah,
but that some days, I mean, it happens. I have some days where it just feels like at TOC, whenever General and I were able to win.
right. And I meant to
Uh,
say congratulations on that.
oh no, appreciate it for sure. I mean, that we had 6 matches and 3 of them went 6-6 in game 3.
Yep,
So those matches, obviously all 3 of those broke our way on that in that critical moment.
right,
But a lot of it is, what do you draw on that hand?
yep,
Whenever it's 6-6 in game 3, which happened to us 3 times. I mean, it's not that I don't feel like the best domino player in the world. I just feel like, that timing was in my favor. And there was
right,
one of them, obviously, I wrote about where I bid 30 because I had the 4 4s, but not the 6-4.
right,
And then my opponent had 2 4s and the 6-4, and his partner had the 5-5. But when I punted and I was going to lose the dime in the lead, his partner thought I was playing rope-a-dope. Thought I had the 6-4 and that I was playing the 5-4 to trick him into playing the 5-5. See, part of that was also that the count he had was the 5-5.
right,
So he's like, well, maybe he's got a 5 off and I can set him with the 5-5, and he's trying to trick me into playing the 5-5. And so he didn't play it. But if he
right.
plays it, then his partner wins it with 6-4. We're set. We lose that hand. We lose that game. We lose that match. We're in the loser bracket. Which, but he didn't play it. So and I think in the end I ended up losing another trick too. So, but he had a 6, so he wasn't able to give his partner the 5-5 on that one, and that was the only 2 tricks they won. So we were able to escape. But I mean, that's where you just, it's the logic of the game, what
Right.
people are thinking at the time. Yeah. So yeah, I guess, so is there any other things that you're working on in terms of, uh, like different statistical models or things that are, to try to figure out, ways to kind of like a logical,
Well,
like an algorithmic way to kind of process hands and decide what to do?
that's one thing I was going to mention when you started talking about that. It's I don't know that you can really ever have an engine that will go figure out. I have this hand. What are my odds of making it? Unless it's straightforward. I can't be two trumped or whatever. You know, because even like one table that we need to add to your site, which I found to be very helpful, is what are your odds or your probability of walking like the roach behind the double one, or the two
Sure.
blank, and you got your trumps taken care of. You got five trumps and the double one and the one blank or the whatever. And so I have an entire chart of that. Uh, and so in that case, though, that's always the worst case scenario, I call it, because so, for instance, if you if you have the double one, the one blank, almost 3/4 of the time, one of your opponents will have two ones that can set you.
Right,
Three
because they're looking
fourths
they're 'cause
of the
they're
time.
looking for the one blank.
Yeah, and that's exactly. But that's what I'm saying. You can make it more than 26% of the time because they might throw things away. But you have to realize, because at me as growing up as kitchen table, anytime we got a walker, oh man, I'm bidding 84 every time, and we wondered why we went set so many times.
Right.
And so if you have if there are three or four dominoes above that will set you that will set you on that walker, it's only 26% that you are guaranteed to make an 84 hand on that. If there are only two above that can set you, then it goes up to 34%. If there's only one, it goes up to 55. And what I mean by, like, for instance, one would be I'm bidding in threes. I've got five threes. I've got the double six and the 6-4. So
Right.
there's only
There's
one
only one
domino that can
domino.
set
The
me.
6-5
Right.
is the only one that can set you.
Exactly.
That's
So
a 55%.
yes, yes, 55%. So, and that goes also back to one thing as I started looking at the probabilities is situational bidding, because do you want to take the 26%? A lot of people say, oh, it's early, I'm going to bid 84. Well,
Sure.
you want to take the 26%? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Especially if you're playing with good players in the tournament,
Right.
you're
But it
probably
might
going to
be an
get set.
80% 36.
Yes, exactly. So, do you want to take the sure 36, or do you want to take the 1 in 4, 2 marks?
Ah, well,
So,
the bird in the hand,
yes.
per se, as opposed to the two in the bush.
But, you're down 6-3. I'm probably taking the 26%
No,
chance.
no, no, I got it. Well, I mean, and you're right. I mean, that was like my favorite hand at TOC was the one where we were playing for the winners bracket, and it was the first game out of 3 games, and we lost that game. Now we won the next two, but we lost the first game, and we were down 6-3, and Daryl bid 84. And it wasn't a pure 84; it was a situational 84 where he had 5 winners and a 5 off and a 6 off.
Right.
So he had offs. He was just hoping to kind of figure out what to. And I had the 5-5. And the and the 5-4. So if he punts the 5, we make the 84.
Right.
But he punts the 6, and then we fly the plane in the mountain and we die. Right. So the second we lost, I said, well, at least they know we're not cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was guessing.
Right.
If I was signaling or telling him like, hey, I got these dominoes, then he would have known what to do and he would have punted to me. And the fact that he didn't do that was an indicator that we weren't doing that, right?
Right.
So anyway, I just weird fun things. But anyway, yeah, I don't mean to take up too much of your time. I figure we could wrap this up, but
Well, we can go a little bit longer if you want to. I'm good.
okay, I got you. So yeah, no, I mean, um, yeah, so you were saying that's a useful table. The one that what was the table you were going to add? You're going to just email it to me, or?
Yeah, we'll get it out there. The like the probability of
Oh, the probability
walking.
that you'll walk something.
Yeah,
See, now
yeah,
whenever I'm thinking about, like, whenever my opponent bids 84,
right.
it's a dichotomy. Like, my first thought is based on the way they bid 84 and the body language and the
Yep.
situation. Are they trying to walk something,
Or do they have a
or do
cold
they have
off?
a straight off? Right.
Right.
And
Yep.
that's the first thing that you're trying to assess, is because if they're trying to walk something, throw doubles away
Right.
to tell your partner what they're not walking,
Right.
so they can hold for the suit that they are trying to walk.
Yeah. Yep.
But if it's a straight off, you want to hold your doubles like the house pearls.
Right.
Now you can still end up in the situation where, you got 4 4 5 5 6 6. Which one is the off?
Yep.
And then you're throwing away and you know that when you throw them away, you're probably throwing away the one that's going to win, but then you don't know which one it is. So it's like
Yeah.
because you have just too many good
Yep.
doubles to they got a straight off. You don't know what it is. I mean, that happened one time at Nosh, where we play in Austin, where I think Judd's wife came and played, and we were playing against Paul B, an architect, Texas guy, who will be rooting for the Burn Orange on Friday. And then Terry Pogue, who's also
Right.
a
There.
two-time state champion, right? And Judd's wife goes 84. She's got 6 doubles and the 3-1. That's what she's got. So she goes 84.
Did she have the double three?
She did have the double 3. The only double she didn't have was the double 4.
So you go and no trump and try to walk it
So
behind.
you're right. That's also a way to go. That you could have no trumped it. She went doubles.
Okay.
So and to be honest, the two dominoes that Terry and Paul held were 6 5 6 4. The ones that cover the broadest swath
Right.
of
They
dominoes.
catch more dominoes. Yep.
Catch more dominoes, but because at that point she's got. I mean, after she plays the 6 6 and the 4 4 falls, and they're the only two people that play doubles. And then she plays the 5 5, and then she's the only one. Everyone knows she had 6.
Right.
So then it's like, well, what's the off?
Right.
And then it's like a guessing game for, and obviously anyone could have guessed it was 3s and 1 if they held the 3s.
Right.
But then is it 2s? Yeah. Is it 4s? It could be anything.
Yep.
So she made it that time, but.
And nothing's worse than your opponent on your right bidding 84. You have no doubles, and you're sitting there, and they're bidding in 6s, and you can catch a 5, a 4, a 3, or a 2. With covering everything else, and you have to play first, so you don't even get the chance to see the other two, playing. So you got to figure out, what do I keep to protect another one, whatever. So.
Yeah, I think the thing was that when I'm trying to hold for a walker,
mm-hmm.
I try to create the triumvirate situation.
Right. Sure.
Where I have like 6 5, 6 4, 4 5.
4 5. Yeah. Sure.
Now, obviously, on the 5th trick,
you got a 50-50 chance.
You're actually bailing on 2 of the 3 chances.
Right. Yeah. True. Yep.
You're actually picking one of the 3 suits that, okay, I hope they're walking 6s because I'm picking 6s, or I hope they're walking 5s because I'm picking 5s, or I hope they're walking 4s because I'm picking 4. You basically make that decision on the 5th trick.
Right.
But you're trying to kind of get any kind of inkling of which one of these might it be more likely that it is.
Right.
And and then there's different indicators that you can try to use to try to pick correctly. But obviously a lot of times you pick wrong.
one of the things that those probabilities showed for walkers is if you think that if your partner bids and you think they're walking, you need to totally get out of the way and you need to try to confuse your opponents, because
Yes.
even if they're trying to walk the roach and you have 2 1s, the probability that one of the other ones has 2 1s is so low that you don't even need to worry about it.
Right.
So you need to start throwing your 6 5, and so I usually start kind of with my highest sixes, and then I throw
Sure. No, no.
fives or whatever.
As the partner of the bidder, I always try to hold
Yes.
low.
Yep. Exactly.
Hold the 2 blank so that they keep the 2-2
Right.
and they
Right.
jettison the other thing that would have set them.
Exactly.
This kind of thing. I mean, that's certainly part of the strategy also is what do I do to help my partner? I mean, Jody and I are working on a second book about logic trees. I don't
Okay.
know how, basically the whole premise there is that in every domino game, you're one of 4 things. You're the bidder, or you're the partner of the bidder, or you're the
Left opponent or right
the
opponent.
opponent to the left or
Yep.
the right opponent, right?
Yep.
And that in each one of those roles, there are things you can do to try to maximize your team's chances of either setting the bid or making the bid.
Right.
Now, our first book, I would say we're probably only going to cover 3 of them because the first book is really how to be the bidder. How to bid. How do I assess the strength of my hand? How do I decide what to bid? And the first book is kind of about that. But the second book, I think we're going to try to make it more about like how am I a better support partner? How am I a better setter?
Right.
Because there are people that you get them as a partner and they're like, oh well, they just won the tournament last Friday, but then they got the dominoes and they were bidding and they know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the other roles, they're like,
If they don't
babes.
get the dominoes, they don't know what to do.
Right. They're just
Yeah.
like, and then they do things and you're like, what are you, is this 3 against 1? Are you trying to help them?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you doing? But anyway, so yeah, but no, I definitely send me the table on
Okay.
the probabilities of walking things, and I mean clearly on that table we can mention that part of the process is assessing whether the person is going with a straight off or whether they're trying to walk something,
Right.
and to some degree that's a guess
Yep.
because you don't really know what their gambit is when they
Right.
bid it. You can sometimes you could look at your hand and you could say, well, they're not doing this.
Yeah.
Because of the dominoes I have, if they were like so. I mean, an example was I guess in 2019 that I won the Dixie Chicken Tournament against Jody and Mitch, and it was the game 3, and it was 5-5, and I drew a 2-mark laydown. I mean, I had blank, blank, blank 6, blank 5, blank 3, 4 blanks, top 3, including an insurance blank, and then I had 6, 6, 4, 4, 2, 2.
Yep.
That was my hand.
Way down. Right.
So if I get the bid and I bid 84, I get it and I win.
Right.
So of course, you would think that I would have been like very just completely composed and just kind of hemming and hawing a little, just kind of, just kind of,
Yeah.
putting on and then like after a minute of solid, just contemplation that I would reluctantly bid 84.
2 marks.
I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, I didn't do that. It was like 2 marks. So
They knew.
right. I just told Jody everything
Yeah.
he needs to know. He knows I'm going to win if he passes,
Yeah.
which I would have for sure. So he goes 3 marks, which was absolutely the right move. And he goes in threes. He has the 3-3, 3-5, 3-4, 3-2. He's got like 4 threes, but he doesn't have the cow. He doesn't have the
They're
double. Or he doesn't have
65%. Yeah. Right
Doesn't
there.
have the 3-6,
Yeah.
right? But his other 3 dominoes are the 5-5, the 6-5, and the 6-4. So the 6s are toxic, and when he leads those, I'm going to kill him.
Right.
And that's what ended up actually happening. But he could have inferred that I don't have the 3-6 because there's no way I would have bid 2 marks the way I bid 2 marks.
Right.
If I'd have had, because he has 6-5, 6-4.
Right.
Even if I got 6-6, Now I might have 6-6 and 6-3 behind it. I'm trying to walk it at the end, something like this. But I'm probably not bidding 2 marks as gleefully as I did if it's not just in the bag.
Right.
And 6-3 behind 6-6 is not in the bag. So I probably am not as gleeful about it.
Yeah.
So instead of a 1 in 3 chance that his partner has 3-6, it's a 1 in 2 chance. And his partner did have the 3-6. So we did figure out the goat path for his victory would have been if he punted the low 3 out of the gate.
Right.
He would have gotten my only 3, which is 3 blank. I think his partner's only 3 was the 3-6, and Daryl had a 3, so it would have cleared out all the 3s that were not in his hand.
Right.
And his partner would have been in the lead.
Yep.
His partner only had 1 double. It was the double 1. If he comes back with that, then he dumps his 6-4, one of his toxic 6s. Now, the real goat path thing of the whole concept of him possibly winning was the next trick, where his partner with no doubles, with all losers, has to punt a 5.
Right.
Because if he punts a 5, he can win it with the 6-5, because he's got the 5-5. Gets rid of his other 6, and then all the dominoes he has left are trumps and doubles.
Yeah.
But none of that happened. He played the 3-3 out. He played the 3-3 out of the gate. His partner plays 3-6, and then it's an all or nothing that his partner has the 6-6. I got it, and he's dead.
Yeah, that's tough. That would be tough to do off the bat. Yeah.
When you look back at like the way he could have won, I don't know if he would have won even if he'd have done the right things.
Yeah.
Because his partner also saw me bid 2 marks the way I bid 2 marks.
Yeah.
So really, the last thing his partner probably would have done is punt a 5.
Right.
He would have punted anything else.
Yeah.
And then Jody's got a trumpet, and he's still got a 6, and he's got to lead it, and he's dead, right? But
yeah.
Anyway, so
probabilities. Yeah, you asked what future thing. Well, I mean, I have most of the basic stuff. I have a lot of spreadsheets, and a lot of things in there are situational things, like a specific hand, and sometimes it takes a lot to figure those out. Sometimes they're pretty straightforward, but that's kind of what I do. I like to go on and that's when I started on this 42 strategy page, and I started seeing people throwing out just guesses about what's the probability of this. Well, I think it's about 32%, or I think it's about whatever, or
right.
or with wrong methods. Then I said, okay, I'm going to start expanding this even more, and responding and showing how that those are calculated. Again, it's it's the same way poker. They use combinatorics in poker to figure out that a flush beats a straight because of the number that is, and that can all be done with combinatorics. And it's the exact same thing in dominoes. So in 42. So
I've often thought that actually counting dominoes.
Yep.
Is much simpler in 42 than it would be in blackjack.
Sure.
I mean, just because even if you play with only 1 deck, which none of the casinos do, it's always 5 decks or whatever the heck it is. Even with 1 deck, you got 52 cards. So what are the chances that I'm going to get a face card or a 10 value card? On the next hit. That's kind of what you're trying to count cards and see, is the deck heavy in those, am I more likely to draw those kinds of cards?
Right.
That's kind of you're doing the factoring and the calculating. But anyway, thank you, Glenn.
Yep.
Appreciate your time. And, so I am going to post this on the Texas42 YouTube channel.
Anybody ever have any questions about anything or any scenario they would like me to look at and explain, just throw them out on one of the 42 sites and tag me. And I love to do it. I love to see it. Sometimes it's like you mentioned that your one hand, anytime you have 4, you've got a 25% chance of getting all 3 of the others by playing 1 domino.
Right. No,
25%. That's something that is good to know. If you don't have the cow, usually you got 3 others. They're not as good. Usually you might play a low one, but maybe not. Depends upon the rest of your hand and what you need to do.
And what you bid and all this.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of factors. And that's another reason why some sort of engine would be very difficult to build.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Well, and a lot of times you end up in these scenarios where the more experienced you are, the more you realize after one or two tricks that you have to completely change your plan.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, that my original vision for I mean, like I'll say it a lot of the times at the domino table. Like I hit my partner, I punt, they have the cow, they take the lead, they play their their doubles, and I get cleaned out of my garbage and all this. And then I'll say something like, well, you know what, that's just the way I had it on the napkin in my head.
Right.
That it would go like that. But then,
Think outside the box. Yeah.
sometimes you get 3 deep and it's just, or 4 deep or some crazy scenario. And you're just like, I saw that going differently. When you were assessing your hand and you were looking at it and said, well, how is this going to go? You don't usually consider the worst case split.
Right.
As being the likeliest outcome. But sometimes that's what you get.
Yep.
So.
And I'll close with this. One fallacy that people think, like take a coin flip. You flip that coin 14 times and it winds up heads. A lot of people say, well, the next time it's got to wind up tails. It's it's still 50-50.
Still 50-50 every time.
So people will, I got 3 trumped. I always get 3 trumped. I can never make this because I always get 3 trumped. Well, they're only remembering the times they got 3 trumped. They're not remembering all the times they didn't get 3 trumped. And what I always tell, my slogan that I'll close with is, dominoes don't hold grudges. So,
one of the things I like to say whenever, I just have been drawing, terrible dominoes all night and I just lose, is I'll just say, dominoes said no.
Yep.
I mean, whatever my ambition was for this particular sitting, the dominoes did not agree with me and they denied it.
Yep.
But, it happens. But sometimes you win TOC.
Yep.
So, that's how it goes.
Yep. All righty. Well, thanks.
Yeah, take it easy, Glenn. And of course, obviously, you enjoy the game, I enjoy the game, and we try to promote the game and get it out there more. So we'll continue talking and we'll add some more stuff to the website.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Talk to you later. Take care.